Hey everyone, and welcome back to Robbie's Backstage Bants. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Glenn Adamson, who's currently smashing it on the Battle of Hell UK tour. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, came to see the show. That was insane. What an experience! It was wow. And I also made it when the principals were actually there.
Yeah.
But
It's
wow,
always ever changing at BAT. We always say change is good, change is good. Every
it's a
day's
special
different.
show. It's really something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolute chaos. It's larger than life. It's exhausting.
I can imagine it is, yeah. Um, so the first sort of questions I've got for you today are more about your journey. So the first question is, what is the journey of how you got to where you are today?
So I was originally born in Blackpool and then grew up in Peterborough, which is actually sort of the same place Rob Fowler, who plays the dad, is from. So obviously there's like quite a substantial amount of time between us. He'll hate me saying that. So we never met there. But I really got into theatre and when my parents split up and then started going to the youth theatre, my dad took me and I just remember it being like my outlet for everything that I was sort of feeling as like an angsty teenager, and I just fell in love with it. Really, didn't expect to do it really as a career. And then when I got to 18, I didn't know what to do. So I uh, I knew a lot of people that had gone to Paul McCartney School in Liverpool
Oh yeah,
and Lipper, and I loved like rock music at the time. I used to do Battle of the Bands and things like that, and I loved acting. So I thought, well, that'd be perfect for me. I'll go do the acting course at Lipper. Well, at least try to get in, and then I'll be surrounded by all the music culture that Liverpool had to offer, and the Paul McCartney connection was really
yeah,
special to me. So I went there for 3 years really, but didn't actually spend much of my final year there. I between the second and third year, I booked a job called Departure Lounge, a musical up in Edinburgh, and went and did that. And then I went and did Songs for a New World down in London.
oh
They
yeah,
needed someone to come and cover it, and then got my agent from doing those and sort of did Panto in Liverpool and then went and did a cruise ship and then came back from there and was like, oh, right, what am I going to do now? Thought that I just wanted to do sort of straight acting really and got a job in a show called Little Voice. Did that, which was a play. I didn't sing at all in that, but there was the girl
yeah,
that played Little Voice, she would sing all the time and in the show. And I thought, I really want to do that. I wish I'd trained in musical theatre. And I remember downloading like an arts ed application. I thought, well, I've already done 3 years in acting. Do I then go do musical theatre? What do I do? I thought I'll just sort of ask my agent maybe to start sending me in for musicals and see if any sort of land. And then luckily for me, they did. Yeah, I ended up
yeah,
getting American Idiot, and I went and did that, and I loved Green Day, and so bringing that together was like amazing for me. And then went and did the New Zealand tour of that, and then came straight off that and got back, and then COVID happened, and then here we are.
here we are, yeah. That's a really different, yeah. It's nice that you don't have to be trained in musical theatre if you didn't know. You can always sort of dip in and out, which is nice.
Yeah,
Um,
fine.
Yeah, which is it's good. It's good to see people different ways into the industry. I think that's important because there's not just one way in. There's lots of different ways in. Um, so obviously you've had this job for quite some time with COVID happening. Um, so what was your audition process like?
So my audition process was I was originally in for Ledoux, which is another part in the show, and I came in and I'd prepared everything for that, sang for them, and what had happened was when I was away with American Idiot, I remember us being in Dublin and the tour for Back got announced that it was going to go on tour, and I was like, I really want to be in for that. And even I thought, Ledoux would be the right one, but I was obsessed with the show. I was listening to it all the time.
Yeah.
So when I went in for that audition, basically all of us that were in American Idiot were stood there auditioning together because they were quite similar shows. And I love to not tell anyone when I'm in for an audition. And then I turned up and thought, oh my God, there's no hiding this. We're all in the same show. And I went in and I kept thinking, oh, I'm so nervous because people that know me are stood outside the door effectively because we were all like, let's just go for lunch after.
Yeah.
Went in, sang for them, did the Ledoux material, and left. Was really happy with it. And we were all walking to this coffee, and then Anne Vosser, who was casting it, came running down after me, and she said, "Glenn, can you just come back in? Do you mind coming back after the next person's done it?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." Went in, and Mike Reed, who's the musical supervisor, just handed me the score to the show, and he said, "Okay, do you know any of Strat?" And I was like, "Oh, maybe, yeah." And he said, "Okay, let's just sing all of Strat. Let's just do it. Just read the music." And I was like, terrified. Obviously,
Yeah.
I pretended like I said, "I'll do Crying Out Loud for you because I think I sort of know that one." I said, "But I'll have to read the music." So I had the music in my hand. I didn't have to read the music. About 3 bars in, I just put the sheet music on the floor and gave them, everything that I had. So did that one, and then within about 10 minutes of leaving there, I've been sent all the scenes, all the scripts for Strat and all the music, and was told learn it. So I did, and I went in time after time, and they kept asking me to come in at 9 a.m., which has never happened to me in an audition. Like come in at 9 and
Quite
sing all
early.
these songs. And the reason they were doing that was because they kept saying, if you can sing these songs at 9 a.m. because they're so high, then you can sing them every time of day. Like if you can get through that at 9,
Yeah.
they know that your voice is solid. But what they probably didn't know was that I was getting up at 4. So that 9 was not too early. I'd be like,
Well,
if I get up at 4, then it's like 12. They did all those rounds and even did the dance round, and still didn't really know what they were considering me for. I kept thinking, well, I'm still in for Ledoux as well. Am I in for a cover or the alternate? And then went in on that final day, and they put me with loads of ravens throughout the day. Just kept getting me to do Crying Out Loud with different ravens and scenes. And then Martha came in, and we did it together. And I just remember it feeling like it clicked, like that. I felt this is good. Like, and
yeah.
I'm never one like that. Normally, I'm so critical. And we did it together. And I thought, oh, this one works. And I saw the team sort of seemed quite happy. And the American producers that had flown over to watch it, as soon as me and Martha did that, they left. They were like, oh, okay, we're gonna go now and just enjoy London, like, and carry on with the auditions. And so I thought, well, that's either a good sign or they're just sick of us. And then on that Monday, the next Monday, I got the phone call just to say, you got that. And I said, oh, what did I get? Did I get Ledoux? Did I get a cover? Did I get alternate? And they said, oh, you got Strat. And I was like, no, you must be wrong there. I just didn't foresee that happening. We were originally auditioning for the US tour, because it was supposed to go and do a US tour just before COVID hit. So we were in rehearsals for that tour when it shut down.
Wow. And there you are, touring the UK.
Yeah, doing the UK stint. So can't wait.
Yeah. So you've done tour before this, haven't you? You American
Yeah,
Idiot
American
tour.
Idiot I toured, yeah, and I toured another show before that as well, yeah.
So how do you find touring? What's the good parts, the bad parts? What's that for you?
So I'd say the negatives are like that you don't have all your stuff with you and you don't have like this things are so variable in terms of like where you live in, the sleep that you get there, or if you like I've got bad digs before where I've had to leave and you're like, and that I hate I'm such a people pleaser. So if
Yeah.
something's like wrong, like we stayed in a flat actually here where it was leaking and I was like, we're fine with this leak, like it'll be fine. And then 4 days in, I was like, we can't live in this league anymore.
No,
Like,
fine.
the floor is soaking wet all the time. Like we're gonna have to say something. So there's sort of the negatives. Like if you get somewhere where you can't sleep or the bed's horrible, then I find like the show is harder. Um, whereas if I was in my own flat, I think I'd be so much better. But what I love about touring is how different the show is so different everywhere, and it's like
Yeah.
a new show every 2 weeks, and it's responded to so differently. Like the more north we get, the wilder the audiences are, the less sort of inhibited they are. So then
Yeah.
when we go down south, it's really like we're like, oh, they hate us, they're so quiet, and you're like, no, it's just they're just different.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
just not
and,
loud.
and yeah, and like every theatre, like you get excited for a new theatre. It's like a new press night every time, and that's really exciting. We're not just in a show for a year, not never changing. Do you know what I mean? Because we
Yeah.
lose set sometimes, we gain set, we go somewhere where it's so big, like Edinburgh Playhouse is massive. So we tripled our speakers. And so the sound that you could hear was like phenomenal. And like things like that are just exciting to
Wow.
me.
Yeah.
I like the dressing rooms as well. I like going like, oh, what's my dressing room gonna look like?
What's your dressing room like in Newcastle? Are you happy with it? You pleased
Oh,
with
this is a good one. It's quite small, but it's really well done. It's got beautiful bathroom back there, nice fridge. It's one of the cast's birthday today, so I've got two big birthday cakes sat by me
it?
and a bottle of
Oh,
champagne, but they're not for me. But it's my friend Rory who I did American Idiot with. It's his birthday today, so I thought I'd take one for the
oh,
team, buy the cakes. But yeah, this is a good one. But some of them are like they're like mini flats, and they're my love.
wow. Wow. Living the dream. So
Yeah.
Strat's really, really challenging. So how do you cope with it personally? Or not cope, but how do you deal with that?
Um, an amazing team. I think COVID in a way was quite good for training purposes because I'd like had a taste there and gone, my stamina needs improving so much. Like it's so physical. You're jumping on things, you're throwing yourself around, singing upside down. Yeah, there's so much sweat. So I thought, right, I need to really pick up running. So I did that for about a year and a half. I mean, vocally as well, like it's such a challenge. I can't like go out with the cast. Like I have to always think, oh, I need to go to bed early, or I can't go for that curry night people are having for someone's birthday because if I eat that late, I'll get acid and I won't sing. Like my life
Yeah.
is so boring now. Um, but it's worth it for the show, you know. But you
Yeah.
do have to, the job like becomes your life. But then I always think like the 16-year-old me would be so happy about that. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, then that's some high notes in there. It's but I get, if you're going to do it at 9 a.m., you can do it anytime. Is that's
I had a really good singing teacher though that really helped me. It wasn't cute at the beginning, I tell you that.
do you have like any specific like warm-ups that you do that are different to usual?
Yeah, well, so I have my singing teacher is a girl called Jessie May. She's amazing. Like if you follow her on Instagram, she does really good tips, like vocal health tips. She's got two warm-ups for me and I alternate between the two. And what's good for them with me is like trying to set because they're so high, you pull your larynx up all the time, and it can like so that it's not lodged there. We just try and pull it down every day. She's giving me some exercises for that, and also because you're topless the whole show. You do loads of work where you're like you exercise a lot to try and look all right,
Yeah.
and so there's a lot of exercises that she's put in there to try and relax all that so that you're not like really tense from probably going to the gym that day because singers that are too tense there around the middle they don't take enough breath and things like that, so it just some of those vocal exercises that she'd worked out for what the show would need and what I need, and just making sure at the end of the night I'm like actually relaxing it all again.
That's amazing. That's really good. So I'm assuming you're off to the gym all the time on tour.
Yeah, and I always travel like a yoga mat with me and have a dressing room where I can like work out in the room, which is for vanity, but also just for like the show stamina. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's like it's trained up because now that I do two on a Saturday sometimes, depending on the week and how many shows we've got, and that is so exhausting. Like I'll go the next morning, I can't get out of bed. My legs are so tired because you've seen it. It's all squats and jumping on rocks, and so my thighs are like Glenn.
I bet they are. It's very physical as well as vocal. For you, especially, you're all over the place with it.
Yeah. I think because Meatloaf was like people have already heard these songs be amazing, and his voice, like when you actually work his range out, it's like 3 octaves that he sings across, which is like an opera singer. So I think for Jay, who directed it, he thought, well, people have already heard like someone do this that's got an amazing range. Like that's no surprise to people that someone can do that. So why don't we try and make it that not only do you sing the notes, but you also do them in the most physical way possible, because that takes it up a notch. That makes it more impressive. And I sort of love that he did that.
No, that's yeah, it's really good, and it adds so much to the character as well. Um, how did you characterize your strat? How did you create that?
I think we watched a lot of like Iggy Pop videos, so we really wanted to like get some of that in, and then for me as well, like Bon Jovi, I love Bon Jovi, so I wanted to sort of bring in some of that, and there's moments of like Jim Morrison in there, just like rock people that you love, and I think for me it was like looking at him as, if you've not had social media or you've not had any sort of like normal things to conform to that we all have had, you've sort of just been free. What would you move like if you didn't know that like people move like that? Or what would not be the most obvious things to find attractive in someone? Like you'll always see sort of Strat and Raven in our version, rather than kiss, they like explore each other's hands, or they explore just like random parts of each other's bodies, because you've not grown up being like, oh, this is what's sexy, this bit, or
Yeah,
like you kiss, because they don't have that. There's no, you never see any reference to social media or computers or phones or any of that in the future. So how would they know to even do that? They're just excited by the smallest things.
yeah,
We talked a lot about that and sort of trying to bring that into not just do the obvious that you see in every show of going like, well, now they're in love, they kiss. It's like, well, why did they kiss? Why can't they just be like, oh, these hands feel great together? Do you know what I mean? Let's touch for
yeah.
10 minutes. So
That's really clever, and it's quite good to think about as well. Now the set for the show is stunning as well.
mm.
How is it running around on that every day? I mean, I bet it's exhausting, but what's that? It's immersive for you, I suppose, as a
Yeah, it's
performer.
like an assault course. In town they had a swimming pool as well on stage, which I just think is like mind blowing. Um, Obviously you can't tour a pool, which I'm really sad about.
Oh, you put it in
But
the pit.
yeah, try. I think the theatre's a killer. It is, yeah. So I've never seen a touring set like it, and our crew are amazing. The
All right.
speed that they put it up and put it down now, because in Manchester, I think they were like, "How on earth are we ever going to get this down like on a Saturday night and manage to have it up ready on a Tuesday night and still get a day off?" And at first, I don't think they could really do it in the time, and now people are just like zip zip. It's phenomenal. So for us it's so impressive, and I love working with that, and the screens, obviously there's so much camera work in it,
Yeah.
and I love that really excites me, because I have never seen that before in musical theatre, and I
No.
like that.
That's live, isn't it? The
Yes,
cameras.
it's totally live. When I first watched it in the West End, I was like, that's not live, but yeah,
I
it is
was
obviously
thinking for
because
a
it's very
second,
live.
but yeah, no. I
Yeah,
was like, hang on.
you never know who's going to be on,
Yeah,
and
like
people say
tonight
their
that would have been a
lines.
nightmare.
Yeah, and people say the lines differently every night, and
Yeah.
but what it does really well, and what I love about it, and that is, you always have to be on as an actor. Like I think in musical theatre, well, maybe not just musical theatre, but any show that plays like a huge theatre, you can get away with. I think you can get away with going, oh, I'm just gonna phone it in tonight, because no one can see in your eyes and really know if you're there or
Mm,
not, or if you're just doing it by numbers. Whereas the camera means you have to be there every single night, because actually it's like TV, they can see right close. So if you're not giving it 100%, they're gonna know. And I think that's such a good challenge for the show and for us. And I love it personally. That gets back to like what I trained in. So I love that.
yeah. And it's brilliant because it just adds a whole new aspect to the show. And I think that's something that I would maybe like to see more of in musical theatre. But then again,
What it allows you as well is like, I don't know about you, but when you go and see a show and everyone plays every scene out like this because they have to be seen, their face has to be seen, and that's just not real life. Whereas we don't have
no,
that issue. It's like,
it's
oh,
natural.
turn your back to them, and the camera will pick you up. it's fine. So I do really think that's brilliant. Like,
Yeah,
hats off to Jay. It was exciting for me.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So were you a Meatloaf fan going in to the show?
I was a Jim Steinman fan, yeah. So Meatloaf, but also the Bonnie Tyler stuff he did, the Celine Dion stuff, just like any and his own stuff. When you listen to like his lyrics, they're so theatrical. Um,
Yeah,
so that was so yes, Meatloaf, but the songs away from him as well. I just think he was so ahead of his time. Such a great musical theatre writer without knowing it, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Um, so do you have a favorite song in the show to perform? Is that a question like picking a
Ah,
favorite child or
well, do you know what? It changes all the time. That's the thing because you'll do a like when I started this, it was Crying Out Loud. Now it's Anything for Love. That's my favorite one to perform. Um, Bat Out of Hell. It used to be that. In rehearsals, it was always Bat Out of Hell until the blood and the the confetti and all the things and spinning the mic. And now, like, I'm like, I sort of found that that's the one where you're like, I really need so much energy for. So it's like a
yeah,
mountain to climb. I could listen to It's All Coming Back to Me Now every single night. Well, I do listen to it every single night, but for the rest of my life, I just never get old listening to someone sing that in my face. Dead Ringer, like it's just banger after banger after
it
banger.
is.
So you go like, oh, the music is incredible. And I love listening to the band. If we're not singing and the band are just doing a sound check and you hear how phenomenal they are, the drums, the guitar, I love that. I sort of wish we don't have an overture
No,
because musicals like this never do, but I always think, God, that would be a phenomenal overture, like a mashup of all these songs. I
that
want
would
someone
be.
to pen one.
We
Mhm.
need we need it right in. Someone get on that.
Yeah, I need that.
I want to
Well,
hear
that's
that.
yes.
Yeah, get it done. Get it done. So Bad Out of Hell now, where would you see yourself going next?
Do you know what? I haven't fallen out of love with Bat yet, so stay here a bit longer if they'll have me. And then I don't know. I'd love to do like We'll Rock You. I'd love to do. To be honest, every show that I want to do is like We Will Rock You, Rock of Ages, Rocky Horror. I'd love to play Riff Raff in Rocky Horror. Like one day, that is my goal.
Yes.
Um, and then I really want someone to write a Bon Jovi musical. I'm pitching it. I need someone to do like Blades of Glory or something, and I'll be in that.
Yeah. 100%,
But I also
yes.
like I don't really know musicals that well, so the cast will start singing something, and I'm like, "What's that? That's great!" I'm like, "That's so cool." I always go to the theatre and watch things, but like anything that's not been on in the last like 4 years, I have no concept of. So I'll hear someone sing that, I'm like, "That's a great new musical," and they're like, "Glenn, this is from like the '90s,"
It's
and I'll be like,
Carousel.
"Oh, great!" Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, wow, I'm hearing it for the first time." Like
Yeah.
China.
What about Rent?
Oh yeah, I do like Ren. That'd be a really cool one. Who would I
CV
play
Rent.
in that?
Roger.
Roger. Yeah, I'd like to do that. Yeah, great.
Yes. Yes.
Sign me up.
I would ask you what your favorite costume is in the show, but that's a bit of a silly question for you.
Don't really wear them. Don't know. I quite like the in the second act the jeans that I wear with the sequins on are
Them.
actually my jeans that they've added sequins to now. So we'd gone through so many pairs, and they kept being like, they don't fit right. They don't fit like your jeans that you wear. And so after about 3 months, they just said, "Can we take those jeans? Do you mind?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I can replace these. Don't know if they still make them." They'd already sewn the sequins on by the time we discovered that I will never find these jeans again. They were a great fit, and they're
Well, now
now
they've got
forever.
sequins on them.
Yeah, I'll have to keep them after.
Yeah. That's do you keep things from shows?
Well, they never let you really, but
Hmm.
do you know what? I did I'd get in so much trouble, but I covered a character in American Idol called Saint Jimmy, and I took two pieces of that costume to wear for my bat audition, and I still have those. Yeah, I did.
Well,
And
it's
actually, I
it's a souvenir.
remember I had a leather bracelet with spikes on it that came off in the audition, and it had like Glenn Act Two or something written on it. And I remember Michael Coles, one of the producers, passed it back to me, and me being mortified because it was clear I'd taken costume.
That's brilliant.
And
But it's nice to have keepsakes, I suppose. It's
yeah, it's just never allowed.
no. But aside from that, that is pretty much everything. So I want to thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
I want to thank everyone at home for watching and listening. And you can like, comment, subscribe. That'd be great. That'd be wonderful. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me, Glenn.
Thanks for having me.